Andrew Bridgewater was expected to be sentenced in the Supreme Court today for robbing a woman back in November of last year. But Senior Justice John Isaacs was forced to adjourn the case on a technicality. Last year, Bridgewater pleaded guilty to the robbery charge before the magistrate's court. The plea was accepted and the matter was transferred to the Supreme Court, reportedly for a stiffer sentence to be imposed. During today's proceedings, we're told that Justice Isaacs was unable to proceed because the magistrate had not convicted Bridgewater following his guilty plea in compliance with the Criminal Procedure Code. Under the circumstances, Justice Isaacs said he had no choice but to refer the case to the magistrate's court. He also indicated that the matter will be dealt with as quickly as possible and adjourned it to Wednesday of this week. At that time, the court will hear the case or fix a date for sentencing. Meantime, Bridgewater remains behind bars at Fox Hill Prison. Bridgewater was released from prison late last year after spending time for the rape of a 6-year-old girl. Well, since the crawfish season opened on August 1st, a number of fishermen have been caught red-handed and brought before the courts for having in their possession large quantities of undersized crawfish. Tonight, the Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources sends a warning to them to cease or face the tough penalties, all while trying to avert damage to the country's reputation as a reputable exporter. Here's LaDon Davis.
The crawfish industry is said to be one of the most essential components of the Bahamian economy, providing self-employment opportunities for thousands of Bahamians. The sector generates $60 to $70 million a year, and many family islanders make an honest living through processing plants and fishing vessels. But since the opening of the crawfish season, many fishermen have not been adhering to the Fisheries Act and have suffered harsh penalties. Fisheries and Marine Resources Minister Larry Cartwright reminds fishermen that they should not sell or have in their possession a crawfish that is any less than 3 1/4 from the horn or has a tail of less than 5 inches.
During the last several months, enforcement officers from the Department of Marine Resources and the Royal Bahamas Defense Force in Grand Bahama and Abaco areas have seized a number of undersized crawfish. Fishers found in possession of undersized crawfish subsequently have been arrested and charged before the courts. Additionally, in one instance, the arrested person was a Bahamian who had been given a warning about harvesting undersized crawfish just days before the arrest.
Cartwright says harvesting of undersized crawfish can do more harm than good to the exportation of crawfish internationally.
This practice, if unchecked, will lead to the eventual depletion of the stock. In addition, the position of the Bahamas as a leading exporter of crawfish could be severely damaged if we are unable to manage successfully this problem.
Some of the country's highest incomes come from family island fishing communities. Minister Cartwright says buyers in those areas should not only deny the purchase of undersized crawfish, but discourage fishermen from selling them.
All buyers of undersized crawfish, including restaurants, food stores, buying stations, and holding stations, should be reminded that it is an offense to possess undersized crawfish.
Now the Department of Marine Resources, along with the Bahamas Police and Defense Forces, will continue to monitor the activities of the Bahamian fishing industry. They will also continue to prosecute those fishermen who intentionally break the law. LaDon Davis, ZNS News.
Executives of the Volunteer Bahamas program have taken the latest details of the initiative to Government House. The group paid a courtesy call on the Governor General, His Excellency Sir Arthur Folkes today, led by the Youth Minister Charles Maynard. The program was mounted back in November to redirect misguided youth.
This is very important. This is very important. I think that it's what you call being a part of the solution. What we're trying to do is we're trying to not deal with a problem after it occurs, but avoid young people from getting in problems. And we found that those young people who are actively engaged in these extracurricular activities are usually better behaved, more socialized, and so on. And so this program is designed to assist these organizations in regards to serving our young people and keeping them busy with positive activities.
Now, the program is said to be going exceptionally well with some 610 registered volunteers. However, Director of Youth And National Co-Chair for Volunteer Bahamas, Darren Turnquest, says they're challenged somewhat to expand the program into the Family Islands to the extent that they'd like.
One of the challenges that we had was some individuals thought that Volunteer Bahamas was a paid program, and so if they signed on to this, they would be getting a stipend or some sort. And so we had to really define volunteerism to some of the individuals. So what we've done is we've gone through our database, we've cleaned out our database, and now we have 600 and it's probably about 610, 612, if I'm not mistaken. And it's in real time, so probably by the time you would have broadcast this, persons would sign on again. So the number's going up every minute of the day. But one thing that I wouldn't say a challenge, but one thing that we would like to aggressively move forward with is to make sure that we have this national program extended into the Family Islands, and to find creative ways to do orientation and to do training into the Family Islands. And that's one of the first things on the agenda. How do we mobilize this program fully into our Family Islands to make sure it's national and not just a Nassau-centric program?
Welcome to tonight's edition of the Business Beat, sponsored by Royal Fidelity. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Altafiz Munnings. Let's take a look at what's making business news today.
The United States of America has 3, and now the Bahamas may have its very own credit bureau soon. Central Bank Governor Wendy Craig forecast to the local daily that a credit bureau could be established in the Bahamas by the end of the year or early next year. The article noted that a Bahamas credit bureau would bring more transparency to the credit application process nationwide. RBC, Royal Bank of Canada, welcoming some 1,600 outstanding employees from around the world to the Bahamas last week. The group arrived here on the Celebrity Millennium as a part of RBC's performance convention. Some 8 Bahamians and a number of their regional counterparts were a part of the contingent that enjoyed the coveted 7-day cruise. From the region, the stalled Four Seasons Hotel project in Barbados is about to get a major financial shot in the arm, which could see a restart of the multi-million-dollar upscale tourism venture in the coming months. Word of this came from the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs in Barbados, Christopher Sinclair, who disclosed that the local NIS scheme, along with the national insurance schemes of Dominica and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, would be minority investors in the project.
Remember, you can send us an email or join us on www.znsbahamas.com or become our friend on ZNS's official Facebook page. And that will end tonight's edition of the Business Beat, sponsored by Royal Fidelity. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Altafiz Munnings.